Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. It's Wednesday, the 5th of April. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, as you all know off by heart by now. And I'm joined today by Aidan McDonald at Aidan C. McDonald on the Twitter handle. Good morning, Aidan. Fresh from Portugal on your travels. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. It was good, Tony. Good to be back. How are you getting on? Are you all right?
All good, all good. Good wee break then?
Yeah, it was always good to just chill out.
You need it, don't you? There you go. Good to see you back as well, sir. So first things first, we always do the housekeeping and we say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the Celtic Way website, but we urge you, if you haven't already, to do it. And you can subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love, and it'll cost you £2 for 2 months for unlimited access to everything that's written on the website. And it's all for the click of a button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And we also say thank you to our sponsors, SENECA. And as you all know by now, the Celtic Way morning briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. But that's not all, Aidan, because the Celtic supporters can also win a Celtic signed shirt, a home jersey, signed by all the players and the manager. And if you log on, you can fill in the form, and you'll get that form through the links in the description of this video. And the winner will be announced on Friday, April the 7th. And as Sean said, what a good Friday that would be to win a signed Celtic jersey. Aidan got to be in it to win it. So I would encourage all you guys who have subscribed, fill in that form. It's under the links in the description of the video. You could win a signed Celtic shirt, Aidan. Can't say fairer than that, can we? Courtesy of our friends at SENECA.
Yeah, no, it's obviously a really good prize, so get yourself involved if you're not already subscribed.
Now, Aidan, we never sleep in terms of Celtic, but some potential good news in the offing, Aidan. Celtic could make another profit on Jeremy Frimpong, who's been rumoured to be in talks with Manchester United, a possible 50 million move being touted. And so if Celtic have the 30% sell-on clause, that's close to 11.5 million, and they sold them for 11.5 million. Double your money, Aidan. A bit of an investment on Frimpong, and a wise move to insert that sell-on clause.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite smart, given obviously Frimpong's age and his potential. I think everybody rated him. I know maybe the sort of that season that he did leave, he was struggling a wee bit, as everyone did, but overall I think we could agree he was a good player. So there was a decent chance if he was able to stay injury free that he would move on and potentially to an English club, which looks like it could be Manchester United. So including that sell-on fee was definitely important, and that could be more money in the transfer budget for the summer, Tony, which you can't complain about, can you?
Yeah. So Beach Boy saying if he goes for 50 million, that's 40 million profit. And if Celtic get 30% of that, that's 12 million. It's truly amazing business by Celtic. And it most certainly is. And that's the advantage of those whopping sell-on clauses, because it's on the profit that's made from a player. And obviously, if they're going to clubs like Manchester United, then there's going to be a whopping big profit on it. As that's the fee that's being reported is now 50 million. Don't know what Jeremy Frimpong will move for, Aidan, but that's the kind of rule of thumb. It's 30% on any profit, so you do the maths accordingly.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and it also is probably worth bearing in mind that could sort of cushion the blow a wee bit, or soften the blow, I should say, for the fact that they're not going to, Celtic isn't going to be getting any money for Dembele. Moussa Dembele, also I'm talking about, there was a sell-on fee for him when he moved to Lyon, and I think a lot of people sort of hoped or even assumed that he would move on to sort of bigger and better things, and there could be a hefty sort of bit of cash in there for Celtic like there was for Virgil van Dijk, for example. So I think the fact that potentially you could be getting this money for Frimpong, that also sort of maybe covers that.
Now, whether you can argue the toss whether you think Frimpong is worth whatever, but he's only worth whatever someone's willing to pay for him. Aidan, and his trajectory has gone up the way since he he went to the Bundesliga, so good luck to him. And obviously, Celtic supporters are hoping that he goes for the amounts that are being reported in the papers at this minute.
Yeah, and it does seem that even if he doesn't go for that exact fee, you are going to get a decent sort of sell-on fee from it, Tony, overall. Even if it's not, 50 million and you get close to 11, 12 million pounds, I think there's going to be a wee bit of money coming in from, which is obviously a positive given, as you were already saying, Celtic sold him for 11 million in January 2021, so getting more money on top of that, you can't complain about that.
Yes, now we will preview the Rangers game on Thursday and Friday. Looking forward to that, Aidan. Can't remember how many sleeps it is. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's 3 sleeps, but there you go. We'll preview that in the fullness of time. But speaking of Celtic, there was news this morning, Aidan, that they could well be heading to Japan. Now, Sean wrote a newsletter about that a while ago, and we've been speaking about it kind of on and off. But Nikan Sports in Japan has said that it looks like there's a tour of the Far East going to be scheduled for sometime late July with Celtic, Yokohama F. Marinos and Manchester City all taking part in kind of glamour exhibition matches, pre-season matches, call them what you like. But it kind of makes sense, that doesn't it, Aidan? Because Celtic have been kind of, they toured Australia. I was there the last time they went on tour and enjoyed that. But now going to the Far East, making more friends in a place that Ange knows very, very well, and maybe even to go on some kind of scouting exercise, Aidan, for more players.
Yeah, hopefully with some scouting going on while Celtic's over there, if this comes to pass. I think this is also following up on the report. It was either the sort of start of the year or just before the World Cup break. There was rumours going about that Celtic would potentially be going to Japan. I think originally it had almost been positioned as a sort of end of season tournament, but as more information came out, it was more likely to be near the end of July or one of the first few weeks in July. By then, obviously, the season would have concluded and it would be part of the pre-season campaign. But yeah, that original report, I think, had mentioned Man City, it mentioned Yokohama. I think they'd also mentioned potentially PSG and Bayern Munich. So it's obviously there's a few of the teams that it sounds like that will be included. One of the commenters actually saying it must be potentially something to do with the City group, which all three teams are in a way connected, I suppose, to the City group.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously a good opportunity. All the sort of usual reasons that the club will enjoy, the marketing aspect. The fact that Celtic have a big Japanese fan base, given obviously the amount of Japanese players in the squad, and like you say, Tony, hopefully there will be a bit of scouting going on as well. So it sounds positive, and it's a sort of likely step after going to Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, K-Matsu coming in. Scouting is the reason why Celtic should play some J-League clubs and not just a bunch of big Euro clubs. I'm all in favour of that, Aidan, because the way we've used the Far Eastern Japanese market so far since Ange has come in, that extensive knowledge that he had of those players and the league has served Celtic well, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty flawless. The only sort of signing so far, maybe a wee bit early to talk about Kobayashi and Ola, but I think they've started well, but we probably need to see a wee bit more of them before we know how they're going to get on. But the only one really has been Haggerty, who's struggled a wee bit. The majority, or the rest of them, sorry, have all either been big hits or they're looking very promising. So I think everybody's hoping that Ange will be going into that market again in the summer. And fingers crossed that's the case.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest, Peter. I'm not so sure. So hang fire on that. And Steve McGrory, morning, Steve. How you doing, bud? Tony will be checking out Yokohama hotels and TripAdvisor. Not at that stage yet. Until somebody tells me differently. Australia was great, but hey, we'll see what happens. And David O'Rourke saying Ange was part of the City group at Yokohama. He most certainly was. So people putting kind of two and two together. But in Nikan Sports are reporting it, and a lot of media outlets in this country have picked up on it, Aidan. So, and they're talking about potential dates because I think there's a break in the Japanese season at the end of July, 3-week break. So they're sort of saying that if there's firming updates and stuff, you've got to sort of think that it's a real goal and it's a real possibility.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we've heard before that when reports coming out from the Japanese media, they usually tend to be quite accurate. The most obvious one, going back to the three players that joined in January 2022, Haggerty, Maeda and Hatate, that was rumoured for a wee while and then it came to pass. Kobayashi, I think, was the same as far as I believe. I can't remember exactly if Iwata, there was a lot of speculation in Japan before they made the move, but I think there was at least a wee bit anyway. So the fact that they are reporting on it would say to me that there's definitely something in it, and it's maybe the sort of thing you will hear about near the end of the season once hopefully, Tony, the league is won and potentially maybe a Scottish Cup. So it's exciting, and it'll be good for obviously all the fans over there to get an opportunity to see Celtic, see Ange, see the Japanese players, and once again, hopefully they will be doing a wee bit of scouting when they're over there.
I like this from 420 somewhere. Tony, he's going to watch my dog in Castle for me if I was wanting to book up Japan. That's a kind of offer I can't understand. Never mind refuse, isn't it, Aidan? To be perfectly honest, but thank you for that.
You need to be a big name to watch the Castle. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to look my way up to it.
The Castle. You'd be very surprised, guys. You'd be surprised. Let's be honest. Michael Ross is saying, "Hope we play J League teams." Yep, I think that's kind of the thinking behind a lot of Celtic supporters. Derek Crawford, if you've not just upgraded Castle Haggerty, you'd have been there. Yes, indeed. Well, there you go. Keimatsu coming back in. Iwata was a guy and scouting signed for Yokohama from another J League club. Ange has been big on him for years. Yeah, and that we have used that extensive knowledge, as I said, that Ange had of the league and the players, and I think we'll still continue to use it. You mentioned Kobayashi there, Aidan as well, and I loved his cameo at Tynecastle. I thought it was an excellent 45 minutes, and I'm looking forward to see what he can bring to the table. I've enjoyed Iwata's performances so far. Thought he had an excellent game on Sunday, and we've spoken extensively about what we think he'll bring to the table in terms of Champions League performances next season, assuming that Celtic win the title and go straight into the group stages. We think that Ange's got a plan for him in that sense, don't we?
We've obviously discussed that, and when I was obviously talking about players that have started well, but we still need to see a bit more of them. I should have included Iwata in that. I realised I just said Kobayashi, they were just the two that sprang to mind because I just kept thinking about Lowe's touch at the weekend. I know you and Sean have already touched on that this week, but Iwata, we've kind of discussed that to death, haven't we, at this point, Tony, that we reckon he'll have a role to play, between now and the end of the season, but he'll be a big player for the sort of 23-24 campaign.
Andrew Galea saying might see Iwata playing as an 8 this weekend. That's a possibility if Aaron Moy or Rio Hatate don't make it. We'll find out more on Friday on that one when Ange does his usual pre-match presser. Plunge McNugget come in, need to ignore all the noise and play the game on Saturday. Speaking of the game on Saturday, Richard Gough has been speaking, Aidan, and he's not too confident. He fears another 3 or 4-0 job. He says it's a difficult watching Rangers. Celtic have better players and they're a better team. And he remembers speaking to Craig Moore when Ange Postecoglou was appointed, and Craig Moore told him he was a good one. He'll get them going. And Richard Gough said, unfortunately, he has. That's fair enough. I think that's brutal honesty from Richard Gough at the minute, and kind of his eyes are telling him exactly what he's seeing. I don't tend to read too much in when people are speaking because I guess a lot of it is white noise and you try and ignore it. But it's I think it's a realistic assessment of where the two teams are at this minute from Richard Gough.
Yeah, I would say it's a fair assessment, Tony, to be honest, particularly this season. Without trying to jinx it too much, Celtic are sitting in a good position right now. So far, they are undefeated against Rangers this season across 3 games. I know that the first of those was under a previous manager for Rangers, but I think it's fair to say overall Celtic have been the better team in this campaign, and that is probably fair comments, I would say. Pretty accurate at the moment, and it was probably refreshing honesty, Tony. That's probably the sort of best.
Refreshingly honest. Alan Woods comes in and says, "Great hearing Richard Gough squirrel." But I when you're asked your opinion and you give it, some people can let their blue or green tinted spectacles run away with them. And, I think Richard Gough has been refreshingly honest, and you can't dispute anything that he said there, Aidan, can you?
No, I don't think you can. We're definitely not, Tony, when it comes to praising Celtic, but I don't think it is misguided. I think it's probably pretty on the money, those comments that he's made. And hopefully it's comments that continue to ring true come the weekend.
Yes, very much so, Aidan. Yes, indeed. Now, guys, there's a former Celtic player's birthday today, and the reason I bring that up is because I have written about him on the newsletter today. If you subscribe, you've got this newsletter at 5 o'clock last night, but I'll put it in the comment section. It's on the website today, and you can have a look at it. And it's Aidan McGeady is 37 today. Aidan, and probably your era, isn't it, Aidan McGeady? And you can wax lyrical about Aidan McGeady, and I've just kind of did a piece about his kind of legacy at Celtic and where you stand on that. What's your thoughts on Aidan McGeady? And guys, get your comments coming in. Your thoughts on Aidan McGeady, who celebrates his 37th birthday today, and we say happy birthday to Aidan McGeady. On you go.
No, I thought Aidan McGeady was an excellent player at Celtic. To be honest, I know maybe some of it might be clouded by the fact that was when I was first starting to go to the football, when he was really coming at the forefront. Not when he got his debut, but the sort of, or maybe not even the season after that, sort of 06, 07, 08, when Celtic won the league, obviously, up at Tannadice, and in the campaign after that. I thought Aidan McGeady was phenomenal across those sort of seasons. And I know maybe people might have his opinions. I know there was fallouts with, I think it was Neil Lennon on the pitch, wasn't it? Then there was the famous one with Strachan. But I thought talent-wise, he was phenomenal. And at times, it did feel like he was kind of just carrying the team through games, basically taking the game on his own back, whether it was scoring or providing an assist. And for somebody like that, I'll always have a lot of respect for a player that was able to do that. Also, did get Celtic, it was at their time that was a record transfer fee, Tony. I know since then, feels like there's been quite a lot since then that have surpassed that, but we need to take it in the context of it was 2010, and it was 9 million, I think it was.
9 million, yeah, record fee then, yeah, to Spartak Moscow, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of money back then, Tony, isn't it? So, yeah, I would say I was a big fan of Aidan McGeady, and it's a bit disappointing probably to have not seen a wee bit more of him since he's been at Hibs. I know he's been injured. He started the season, I think he got injured before the actual league season began, and then came back. Now he's out for the rest of the campaign. So it would have been good to see a bit more of him. But yeah, no, I've always been a big fan of Aidan McGeady. Lots
of comments coming in. Marky saying cracking player McGeady, a bit greedy on the ball though. Derek Crawford saying, Alan Wood saying McGeady unfulfilled potential. I kind of agree with that. Greedy McGeady says chill pill. There you go. And he was the first big transfer, says Brown Warrior, out of Celtic. The lol ball started rolling with Aidan. Yeah, I don't think Celtic qualified for the Champions League, and he over the season, and then McGeady ended up going for that kind of money and actually bucked the trend of being quite successful in Russia, because he stayed there for 3 years. Not a lot of players go there. I think they finished runners-up in one of the seasons he was there in the Russian league. So, as I say, he spent 3 good years in Russia, Aidan, which is very uncommon for players going across. You might have seen it as a weird move at the time, but I guess a strange move, but it's probably due to a lot of people's ignorance of the Russian football back then. They were the ones with the money back then and were spending it big time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all know the reasons why. It's a different sort of climate nowadays, but then it was kind of seen as quite a strong league, wasn't it, Tony? They regularly had a few teams in the Champions League, and Aidan McGeady also came back as well to Celtic Park with Spartak Moscow in the 2012-13 Champions League campaign, the same year that Celtic beat Barcelona. Because Celtic, even it's probably forgotten, given how big the Barcelona result was, but Celtic did beat Spartak Moscow home and away that campaign, which was 2 really big results at the time because they were seen as a good team. But yeah, I've always had plenty of positive things to say about Aidan McGeady, but I do accept that some of it might be clouded by the fact I was a wee bit younger, and I liked seeing him just beating 2 or 3 players at a time, and that it was very exciting. Try to model myself on him on the pitch, Tony, but I think it's fair to say it's not really worked out. But yeah, still time.
Paul Byrne, McGeady 2 plays, the first at Pittodrie, crossing from Macdonald, the famous McGeady swivel, wasn't it? And then the neat check against Barca at Celtic Park. And my ball says I was a fan, but he did appear to be a bit crabbit, probably not a popular teammate, a great talent though. I think, I mean, if you read the piece, you'll see that I started with a Roy Keane quote, which said that Aidan McGeady could have played better, but it's probably that says a lot about Aidan McGeady's career, Roy Keane said, and I think that's probably kind of sums it up, that he had moments.
Maybe a wee bit harsh, to be honest.
Well, I did couch it by saying, it can be construed as being harsh, and cruel, but possibly true as well, because he was capable of individual moments of brilliance, and I think history will be kind to him. I've also said that, but will he be lauded as a Celtic great, which he probably could have been had he fulfilled the potential that one of the commenters said. But I just think he won't be looked upon as a player like Jimmy Johnson, Paul McStay, or Archie Carson, these kind of guys. But he certainly could have been, because he had the raw talent to be like that. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Tony, you and Sean will be both best placed to speak on, to speak on this than me. But obviously, we know that phenomenal tier of players that you've just mentioned. But I think underneath that, there is a lot of good players that are in that section underneath that maybe they weren't at the club anywhere near as long, or they weren't as good as the players you mentioned there, but they were still in their own right, were excellent footballers. I would have Aidan McGeady. I don't like in a debate about where he is in the history in terms of the best winger or anything like that, but I would say he was a very good player at times, and he did perform in the Champions League for Celtic, I felt, as well. We talk about, I'm not having a go at anybody in the squad right now or anything, but sometimes there can be guys that do really well domestically, but they just can't make the step up, even sometimes struggle to make the step up to Europa League, never mind Champions League. And I know maybe the football climate is a bit different now than it was when Aidan McGeady was playing for Celtic. We can argue about whether or not it's European football stronger now than it was then or whatever, but he did put in decent performances that try to high level. And I know Celtic didn't win the two last 16 ties undergone Stratton against AC Milan and Barcelona, but McGeady did quite well for what it was worth. I thought in matches like that, and then in group stage games, so that was at quite a high level, and it was performing. But look, everybody's going to have their own opinions on him. I know sort of the narrative was that he kind of just for some people maybe the narrative might have been that he just left for the money, but I think it is a bit of a hard one. And he had played for Celtic for a good few years at that point as well. It was 5 seasons, Tony? 4 seasons, 5 seasons. So
4, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So but look, I can understand. Sorry, that was my phone going off there. I can understand that. I can understand that some people, will have different opinions on him. But just to finish up, I thought he was a good servant for Celtic when he was here, and he also was one of the sort of first big examples of getting a big fee for a player that came through the youth academy.
Well, I make the point, Aidan, in the piece, and I say it's worth remembering that McGeady had to bear a hell of a lot of weight on his shoulders from a very early age. And he was also made to evolve at a rate that's not usually reserved for other youth players when they break into the Celtic first team. And I think he kind of carried that burden and expectation of the Celtic supporters because he was touted as the next big thing, and he became an easy scapegoat for some. But I thought he was a sublimely talented footballer, and I do kind of think that it was maybe unfulfilled potential, but I thought he was an excellent footballer. I'll put that on record, and you say people will have their opinions on him, but he's 37 today. That was the whole point, and just wish him happy birthday. And whatever way you think on Aidan McGeady, I'm sure, like most Celtic players who have played for the club for a while and been successful, you'll have your own individual memories of him. The McGeady swivel. We'll always have the swivel, won't we, Aidan?
So good that it actually got named as a skill move on FIFA. I've out of the game, FIFA, Tony, eventually. That's how good that move was. So, there's not a lot of players that have that on their CV, is what I would say.
Correct. You've got the legendary Cruyff turn, and you have the McGeady swivel spin, whatever it's called. Yeah. Well, I think that's not a bad kind of legacy, is it, Aidan?
There we go. As
Jamie Young, yeah. Clearly.
And that's what it's all about, Tony. Never mind the trophies or the medals. Do you know what I mean? That's what every player wants.
That's one for the YT out there. That's the young team. I'm the OT, the old team. I'm that. So hey, there you go. FIFA, not my bag, but hey, I'm reliably informed. It's a good thing. Now, Aidan, you've been in Portugal, haven't you? And you told us that you were going to go on a pilgrimage I'm assuming that you did go on a pilgrimage to the Estadio Nacional and did the whole bit. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the comment section who were there on that fateful day on the 25th of May 1967. But how was that? Did you get a sense and feel of history, and did you just take a minute to drink it all in and think, wow, must have been amazing to actually be there on that day when Celtic, the legendary Lisbon Lions, beat Inter Milan?
Yeah, it was. I was lucky enough to be able to sort of go to Lisbon, and all the sort of usual things you hear online about. It's just kind of open to the public, but there's a wee security guard that will appear and take you around. All those things actually happened. When I was searching it on TripAdvisor on that in advance, I was able to find out that that was the case, and it was an amazing experience, Tony. People could sum it up a lot better than me, and it's hard to put any sort of fresh perspective on it, but yeah, it was brilliant. I got the chance to sort of go up through the tunnel. I'll eventually.
Please tell me you sung the Celtic song as you come out the tunnel.
I can confirm my dad did. There's a lot of videos and photos. I don't think that video will make it out, to be fair, Tony, of me singing, but the other ones maybe.
Your duty in honour of Bertie Hall to do that. Every Celtic support, you have to, as you come out the tunnel, be singing the Celtic song in honour of We 1030, which was a brilliant piece of kind of, one-upmanship, and Celtic kind of won the European Cup, the tunnel. I would always say that when Bertie started that, brilliant piece of genius, bit of maverick thinking from your man. But I'm glad you did that, Aidan. That makes my heart swell with pride. Well done. You're learning, fella. You're learning. That's all I can say.
So, yeah, no, that was an experience. Obviously, the tunnel is probably a wee bit different than it was then. Now, the inside of it is quite modern, and it's got, like murals up on the wall inside the tunnel of different events that have happened there. Outside, obviously, just the European Cup final 1967, a bit of information about the stadium, etc. Then we went up. There was a second division game taking place the day after we were there, so the grass and that was getting cut. So we did have to kind of just come around the edge of the grass, because fair enough, obviously had to get it prepped for that league game. But you were able to sort of walk around the edge of that, and you were on the running track right beside the stadium, able to get the sort of perspective of what it would have been like if you were in the dugouts. We also got to sit in the dugouts that were there. As far as I'm aware, the dugouts that Jock Stein, etc. would have been in were actually in the opposite end of the park from the ones we were sitting in.
Okay.
You were able to sort of get what it would have been like to, sit down and be at that level, which was really interesting. And then we were able to go in at the top of the stand, right up to the very top, and stand sort of similar in the similar position to Bill McNeil lifted the trophy. And yeah, it was amazing, to be honest, Tony. It was, I don't want to sound like I'm underselling it at all. I didn't really have words to describe it. I was struggling at the time, and I'm struggling now. It's hard to do it justice.
Listen, I think every Celtic supporter, I think my ball, visiting the stadium is a very emotional experience. Every Celtic fan should go and definitely sing the song and walking out the tunnel. Yeah, blind as a bat, saying it showed defiance. If any player felt nervous, we better just wiped it all away. There you go. I think it's kind of tour of duty. It's on most Celtic supporters' bucket list, isn't it? To go and do that if they weren't there, and you get a feel for it, and it doesn't matter if you know how you felt, Aidan. Your emotions take over, and it's. I was just asking because I thought it was a nice thing to do, and you'll remember that for. Because you went there with your dad, didn't you?
Yeah. I went with my dad, who was very excited.
These things are important. You know what I mean? It's my thoughts: family, in that order, then possibly Celtic. But most of my memories from football are with family members or through the career that I've been fortunate to have. So I can wax lyrical about them and speak emotionally about them. But I think it's important that you do these things, and I'm glad you did it. And I think a lot of Celtic supporters will do that pilgrimage at some point if they haven't already. And the ones that were there in '67, all I can say is I'm well gel, as the youngsters would say. That's a YT phrase, isn't it, Aidan? Well gel, as in well jealous. But I think I don't think you can not be gripped by the emotion of being in Lisbon and doing the tour and the history that's attached to it and what it means to Celtic supporters of any generation, because they'll have grown up. I think that will be their base point, won't it? or support Celtic, you know.
And it's obviously you're walking along sort of parts of the stadium, or you're standing in parts of the stadium that you've seen so much in pictures and footage, and it's actually quite unbelievable when you're there yourself experiencing that. And yeah, it was, like I say, I don't want to sound like I'm underselling it at all. I just don't really know what else to say about it, because it was just such a brilliant experience. And yeah, the stadium's in really, really good condition as well. I knew it was used for, it's still used for the Portuguese Cup final every year. They are sort of equivalent to the Scottish Cup / FA Cup, I believe. And they still have occasional second division games there. And it is used, like, the run track's used by like local sports groups as well. So it's kept in really good nick, which I think is also quite good. You know, you're not going somewhere that's derelict or whatever. You're if you're taking photos of that, it's a sort of good quality place. And the sort of seating in that, for example, the colour of the seat, that's all kind of just been kept the same. I don't know. There's probably maybe more seats in areas that used to maybe be standing, but no, I'd highly recommend it. I would recommend it. Sorry, as long as you probably go not when there's a game on, with that, because I'd imagine you're not going to be able to get the same access. But we my dad didn't. There wasn't anybody to phone or anything in advance. We just sort of went up, had followed the sort of route that had been recommended online by a few people, and were able to just get in. It was Carlos was the name of the security guard that
Carlos.
I'll give. It's probably unlikely he's watching, Tony. I'll be honest, but I'll give him a shout out. Yeah, it was brilliant. The experience was phenomenal, and any Celtic fan that gets a chance, I would highly recommend it.
I think Carlos has been given a shout out by many a Celtic supporter over the years. Yeah, there you go. Beach Boys. Explain Beach Boys. What's all that about?
Standard something, Tony. Standard something.
I don't mind accepting criticism or an observation like that, but he's going to have to explain. I mean, he says he's part of honking, but then he's got 3 laughing and greeting emojis. He's laughing, so is he laughing at his own statement, or is he laughing at something I've said? Come back to me, Beach Boys, with that one. They love their Kirsty O'Connor. They love their football like us, so stadium will be like the White House. Correct, Armando. That's, and I think most people of a Celtic persuasion would always want to go and do that trip at some point in their lifetime. Carlos the doorman, Jerry Smith says, Brown Warrior saying, Tony, it's Peter Kingston, Tony, you're okay. And Brown Warrior saying, well, Gel, is that maybe what he's talking about? Okay, but I was making in reference to the fact that I was jealous of those who were there in 67, that was all. But hey, come back to me.
The bridge generational gap.
Yeah, I'm trying to straddle kind of every era here. You know what I mean? I'm very self-deprecatory in terms of the fact that I'm old, Aidan, and they get the Clive Dunn music out, Grandad's my walk-on darts music, that kind of stuff. So I don't mind that. So hey, there you go. But yes, Beach Boys, come back to me and let me know what you didn't particularly like. That Derek Crawford. Yeah. Honestly, you try and be down with the kids, Aidan, and all you get is slaughtered. And then when you make Celtic Dar references like Spanish Stroll, people say, don't get that either. Don't know what you're talking about. So you can't win, can you? You cannot win. There you have it. Aidan, that's been over half an hour of top quality banter and chat, even if I say so myself. But there you go. I will direct everybody to the ticker tape running along the bottom. You subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love, and it'll cost you £2 for 2 months of unlimited access to everything we write on the site, all for the click of a button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Alan Woods, he's got a Clive tongue crisis. Yes, Charlie Chaplin made us laugh. Indeed. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Stop greeting, Tony, says GP1888. I'm not greeting, I'm having a laugh with the boys. And then Beach Boys come back saying, you using Joey Essie's back. Okay, that's an explanation. Indeed, there you have it. Well, Aidan, as I say, you can't win, can you?
You can't, Tony. You definitely can't.
And Brown Warrior, stand back, Spider-Man. I think that's a reference to Super Gran. There you go, Aidan. There's another Celtic Dad reference. That's Billy Connolly, the first line of the theme tune to an old Scottish programme called Super Gran. Brown Warrior, come back in and tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong, but I'm sure that's what he's saying there, yeah. But there you go. And Keimatsu, hail, hail, I'll see you this summer, Tony. He's saying in reference to Japan. I have to ask you, Aidan, who's in the picture behind you? Is it a competitor to the wardrobe? Watch this space. Yes.
St Andrews, I believe. It's a picture. I will just say it was not me who put it up. I should probably add, but yeah. It's nothing will compete with that, of course. Nothing will compete with that.
And Brown Warrior comes back in. Tony Kikoza Ruckus and Dave Barakis. Yep, that's another lyric from the Super Grand theme tune. There you go, Aidan. See? It's all there. And behind us a bat, there's Gunnar Campbell, who was a character in Super Grand. We have everything to all men and women on this programme, Aidan, aren't we? Everything. We straddle all sorts of eras. The good, the bad, and different. There you go. So I'll ditch the Joey Essex patter for the next briefing, Aidan. There you go. But I'm glad you enjoyed Lisbon. I'm glad your father enjoyed it, and excellent. And I'm glad you get the chance to speak about it. And I asked you because, it's not often you do something like that, is it?
No, it did kind of feel like a sort of once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, I appreciate you giving me a wee bit of a platform to talk about it. It was really enjoyable.
Not in the slightest, and say hello to your old man for him as well. And I'll just say thank you to our sponsors, SENECA. And as everybody knows, the Celtic Way morning briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe. And they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of the video. And you can also win a signed Celtic shirt if you fill in the forum, and you'll get that forum via the links in the description of this video. And the winner will be announced on Friday, April the 7th. That's a signed Celtic home jersey, courtesy of our friends at SENECA, and we say thank you to them for offering up that prize. Guys, have a wonderful Wednesday. I'm away to read some bad dad joke books and come back tomorrow for a terrific Thursday, hopefully. But Aidan, thank you very much for that. Really enjoyed that. Top man. Take care, guys. All the best, Speak to you tomorrow.